Imagine if everything you believed was a reflection in water, shimmering, familiar, but never solid. What if the truth could lie? Not with malice, but with mirrors. This isn't just a story about fake news. It's a journey through the soul of knowing. By the end of this video, you won't just ask what's true. You'll ask, how do we know anything at all? From Socrates' deadly questions to AI-generated truths, we'll explore how the battle for knowledge never ended. It just changed its mask. In ancient Athens, there was a man who claimed to know nothing, not out of false modesty, not as a trick, but as a way of life. Socrates was barefoot, bearded, bothersome, the gadfly of the city. He didn't build schools, he didn't write scrolls. Instead, he wandered the streets like a midwife of thought, coaxing truth out of unsuspecting minds. His questions were arrows, sharp and relentless, not to humiliate, but to expose. He would stop politicians, poets, craftsmen, and ask, "You say you know what justice is? Then tell me, what is justice?" And when they stumbled, as they always did, wouldn't mock them. He would just ask another question. He wasn't interested in answers handed down from tradition. He wanted to know. How do you know what you think you know? He believed that true wisdom began not in certainty, but in doubt. The Oracle of Delphi once proclaimed him the wisest man in Greece. But Socrates laughed. "I am wise," he said, "only in that I know I do not know." And that humility was terrifying, because it stripped away illusion, and with it, comfort. The powerful called it dangerous. The court called it impiety. They said he was corrupting the youth, making them question the gods, the state, the very fabric of society. And so, they sentenced him, not to exile, to death. He drank the hemlock calmly. But what he left behind was far more dangerous than a doctrine. He left behind a method, a virus of the mind, a seed called doubt, and that seed grew. Centuries later, in a cold room lit only by thought, Descartes sat alone, surrounded not by students, but by silence. The outside world had become a blur of uncertainty. Could he trust his eyes, his hands, his senses? He doubted everything. The world, his body, even the existence of other people. And yet, there was still something he couldn't doubt, the very act of doubting. Cogito, ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. A fragile ember of certainty in a universe of fog. But was it enough? David Hume didn't think so. To him, Descartes' clarity was too clean, too sterile. Because in real life, the mind isn't a perfect machine. It's messy, emotional, habitual. Hume believed that most of what we call knowledge is just memory dressed up as truth. We believe the sun will rise tomorrow, but only because it always has. There's no logical guarantee. It's just the inertia of repetition. He tore into the notion of causality, revealing how much of our certainty is stitched together by expectation, not evidence. To Hume, reason wasn't the master of the mind. It was its servant, and belief was closer to instinct than to fact. Meanwhile, far from the cities of the West, the mountains and rivers of ancient China, the Taoists were asking a different question. Must the truth be spoken to be known? Must it be grasped? Or can it simply be lived? The Tao that can be named, they wrote, is not the eternal Tao. They taught that naming fractures reality, that the moment we try to pin truth down with words, we've already missed it. They didn't see doubt as failure. They saw it as flow. The water that yields, and therefore overcomes. The silence between words that holds the real meaning. Where Socrates sought truth through questioning, Descartes sought it through isolation, and Hume through analysis. The Taoists sought truth by letting go, by not grasping, by being present with the mystery. Across cultures, across centuries, one thread remains. Truth isn't a possession, it's a pursuit, and it demands humility. Today, we swim in information, but it feels like we're drowning in confusion. There's more knowledge at our fingertips than at any point in human history, and yet we've never felt more lost. Fake news isn't new, but now it travels at the speed of thought. A single tap, a silent swipe, and an idea flashes across millions of minds before anyone has time to ask, is it true? The scale is unprecedented. The noise is relentless. And here's the quiet danger. Not that we believe lies, but that we stop knowing how to tell the difference. Neuroscience shows we're wired to believe what feels true, not necessarily what is true. Our brains crave patterns, comfort, coherence. So we trust the story that flatters us, the version that confirms what we already think, the headline that doesn't challenge but reassures. And the algorithm is listening. It feeds us more of what we already believe, not because it knows the truth, but because it knows us, our clicks, our fears, our impulses. We scroll, thinking we're choosing our beliefs. But in reality, beliefs are choosing us. Still, there's a moment, small, quiet, where we're not just reacting, where we pause, where we remember that truth isn't loud, doesn't shout over the feed, it waits. And in that stillness, you can look again, not at what you're shown, but through it. Through the noise, through the pull, through the illusion of certainty, because you still have a choice. Not in what the world throws at you, but in how deeply you look. Maybe truth doesn't live in answers. Maybe it lives in the courage to ask again, not in echo chambers, but in inner chambers, where silence waits to be heard. The fake will always shout, but truth whispers. And if we're still enough, it might speak. What do you think? Can truth survive in the age of noise? Leave a comment, and if you still believe in wonder, subscribe.